Hello, hello. Let's get everyone rolling.
Yes,
We've got
hello.
multiple platforms here going, so let's make let's make sure we get them all going live. Um,
Right. Well, hello, everyone. Hello, Becky. Welcome back.
right? I know. Well, welcome to the familiar channel here, friends. Sorry we disappeared for a couple weeks.
We did.
Instagram thought they needed to disappear us, but we are back, which is kind of leading into the title of tonight, right? The Rebirth Rebrand, canceled, but not quiet, right?
Right.
We didn't go silent, I promise. Hmm.
No, it's canceled but not quite. So a couple weeks ago, just to bring everyone up to speed, and actually let's stop for a moment. Let's welcome our Facebook pages and our Instagram pages. We are also streaming to Twitch. We are streaming to Rumble. And then we are actually uploading these to iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and is it Amazon?
Amazon Music and
And
iHeartRadio.
yeah. Yeah. So so in our little vanishing act, quote unquote, we were able to do some regrouping. And but welcome to Healing the Whole Body podcast. However, we have rebranded, right, Becky?
We did, yeah. So we thought um, being a little bit more solid with our foundation, reconnecting with our core mission, right? Even though we are whole body healing, and that's all through nature, through rhythm, through community. Our big thing is beyond the nutrition community, and beyond the nutrition is our foundation, right? We're not just another diet dogma group. We're not just a sole, nutrition platform. And so that's where to be consistent across all forms, right? Whether you're watching us, whether you're listening to us, or whether you're new on one of the platforms that we just started, such as X, Rumble, we weren't going live necessarily on those as consistent as what we were on the others. So we wanted to reconnect with that mission, wanted to reclaim our voices, because many of you know that YouTube up and deleted this channel over here on YouTube. So um, when we come back, we decided everything needed to be with our mission and what we stood for, and that is where building that resilience. Right? We didn't just shut down. We didn't go quiet. We didn't tuck our tails and go the other way. We rebirthed ourselves, I guess, if that's what you want to end
Yeah.
up and say. Um, and we come back stronger, right? We band together, and that's one of the other things is utilizing and setting a structure a little bit better. So like our roundtable with Coach Sly and any of the other coaches that come into the Beyond Nutrition community will be on that roundtable. So right now it's just the three of us, but we are definitely thriving, and we've come back. So if you're joining us over here on YouTube and wondered where we went on this channel, we did create a backup channel in interim, but we did come back to you as soon as YouTube gave us it back, right?
Yep.
um Still unfamiliar with why it was even taken, right? We didn't get any
Right.
warnings. We didn't get a slap on the wrist and say, don't do this or that. It was just an email that ended up and said, your channel's been removed. Um, so I appealed it, of course, and asked for explanations and asked
Mhm.
for, details and stuff, but never did get an email. All we got was our channel back. So I'm not,
Ta-da. Yeah.
yeah, ta-da, we're back. Again, not gonna complain.
Nope.
But yeah, we're not starting over, but we are starting back and starting a little bit wiser with how we are going forward in the fact that we are on multiple platforms, not just solely on one.
Well, I think the thing that, when we found out, and it was literally minutes before we went live a couple weeks ago, uh, we had someone reach out to us and say, "Hey, where where's your YouTube?" And we started digging, and it was gone. And so we still went live. We still went live on our Facebook pages, Instagram, I believe Twitch, and Rumble, right? No, not Rumble.
No.
Um, so we still went live, and we have been doing that in the interim. But I think the thing that yeah, we were surprised for sure because it was without warning, right? We didn't
Mhm.
get the proverbial, "Oh, you shouldn't say that," or something like that. We didn't get anything. So we kind of took a step back, and we understand that as creators that we are in kind of a landlord type situation, right, on social media, if you think of it in that sense. And while we weren't being seen, we never felt like we were unworthy. We never felt that we were separated from our values. In fact, what it did was it gave us uh, a pause for us to come back and emerge kind of in that silence, right? So we were working behind the scenes while we were on a hiatus, and kind of tell the folks, Becky, what we've started working on.
Yeah. So, I just want to go back to the fact that our mission and what we end up we stand for, right?
Yeah,
We are out to help educate people, right? That's the only thing that we end up when we bring. We bring our real life aspect and how we have built the movement to help people reclaim their health through alignment. We educate about circadian rhythm, movement, all of that, but we also are set to empower. And that's where reframing this setback, if you will, right? Because the same thing happens in our journeys, right? We may end up and have setbacks, or we may have detours, or, you know, anything along those lines that happen, but it's not the end, right? You don't just stop your progression, you don't stop your journey. You end up and you reframe it. You look at how can I end up and, reset, refocus. And then you celebrate the wins along the way, right? Our win is, hey, we got this channel back, right? But now we are rebuilding with confidence, right? We are rebuilding and getting the voice out there.
yeah,
We're equipped to be able to, put in, like I said, the structure of um, the podcast, right? Where we go live on Monday nights, we end up and we upload to the others on Tuesday mornings. We have also built the community itself. So we're in there doing a October challenge right now, and we literally only have, I think it's 80 days left. So of
yeah,
the year. So, that's also a factor in there because those are 80 strong days, right? That we can end up and make the rest of 2025 count. And so we're equipping everyone in there with the tools and the daily strategies of, creating this health and healing moving forward.
right.
And that is our promise, is to not be not make you fit into a puzzle, right? Everyone is different. We're bridging the science to you, making wellness real again, and being able to bring that back and put the power in the people that they can feel, like they can take their journey into their hands. And so that's just kind of, a few things that we have built as far as the structure and our mission go, and where we kind of end up and see this. So
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I think also though that one of the things that was uh we came out with a little more structure, like you said. So we wanted to look at it a little bit more focused, right? So Coach Sly is going to be joining us the first Monday of every month. So
Mhm.
you're going to have a coaches roundtable. We think that is so important to bring another coach's perspective in the mix, because all three of us come from different walks of life, different healing journeys that we have been on, and it's really we adore Coach Sly. Now, if you want the experience of all three of us, you can join us in the BNC community, where you have access to all three of us coaches. But just know that on the podcast side of things, we are actually going to bring Coach Sly on the first of every month. So you will see that round table. That's your chance to pose questions to all three of us, and you might get three different answers uh,
Mhm.
in that, which is great because again, we all come from those different walks of life. Um, then we're gonna kind of transition into the next Monday, the second Monday of the month, into we'll either have a guest or we'll do a Q&A. We still will come up with topics surrounding things. I'll be honest, a lot of our topics that we come up with for our podcast is actually things that we are going through or we see our clients going through. And it
Mhm.
kind of resonates with us enough that we feel like that topic needs to be brought to our audience's attention. So, what else have we decided to do?
Then we're going to start bringing guests on as
Yep.
well. So those, one of either the second or the third week are going to end up and be, we'll stick a guest in there. Now the community has always been able to get a Q&A. So that, they are in like the back studio, they are in a different link to where they're able to ask questions of the guests. We've had several guests on, from anywhere, Dr. Paul with hydrogen water to, um, we had Dr. Sean O'Mara talking about, visceral fat. We've had multiple guests.
Oh, yeah.
Now that we have our channel back, feel free to go back through some of those previous videos, but we're going to get back into, doing the guests, and then the open Q&A. So where, people are able to submit questions. We don't just take, the community questions that they've asked and put it into a topic, but we actually will put out a post to where you guys can chime in,
Mhm.
um, and be interactive with us live on Q&A too.
Absolutely. So that's kind of where we've been. F- Funny that Becky and I weren't devastated by any way, shape, or form. In fact, we immediately came to the same conclusion almost at the same moment of, okay, well, we're going to start over. I mean, it is what it is, right? Because we feel that this platform is for empowerment, right? It's not about getting on a pulpit. Becky and I are not pointing fingers at absolutely anybody. We're offering truth, tenderness, transformation for those that are ready to receive it. Becky and I have both found transformation in the circadian side of healing, that healing beyond, right?
Mhm.
um, and it when you are consistent, it does work, right? Now that doesn't mean that in 4.6 weeks you're going to get completely healed. Healing is a journey,
Mhm.
and it's been an ongoing journey. I am 4 years into my journey, and it's funny how one thing heals and then another thing kind of comes up to be healed. Um, mindset has been a huge factor for me. And I know Becky as well. We created an affirmations journal because it is so important to change the mindset, right? Becky will call me out on times when I'm being funny, right? And I'll go, oh, I'm being, and I'll insert whatever negative connotation. But she'll nail me like right off, and she'll be like, let's turn that around,
Mhm.
and it's like, but you don't realize how often you, in joking, quote unquote, how much you're really the mind is listening, the body is listening to those negative, even the jokes, the body's hearing it.
Well, and that's where we're really encouraging others too, right? That they aren't broken.
Right.
That healing is possible, and we realize that is a struggle. I mean, like you said, you've been 4 years, and that's just like one of the posts that I put out the other day. The fact that we don't just celebrate at the end, right? We need to end up and
Yeah.
celebrate throughout, because yeah, the body is listening. And but it's more so the fact that when we're looking at our journey, right? It's not a final destination. It's
Yeah.
a case of, and I'll do that a lot too, is where I go through different phases, right? And there's different seasons, right? There's different things that happen in life. And you have to be able to realize that it's not about remaining perfect. I mean,
Mhm.
yes, there are things that are in our control, right? There are things that we need to be connected with, but it's also a case of, okay, this is happening. So what are you going to shift, right? I was just on a coaching session earlier, and what I do in the wintertime is far different than what I do in the spring and summer, right? Days are different, whatever.
Mhm.
But I can guarantee what I did in, my 30s, right, is different than what I'm doing in my,
Oh yeah.
40s.
Oh yeah.
So being able to recommit and, reflect back on your journey, right? What went right? What do you maybe need to, audit and adjust, right? Um, and even though you may define it, like I said earlier, there's 80 days through the end of the year, and I have short-term goals, but I also end up and have long-term goals. But I also have those broke out in, whether it
Mhm.
be the first 30, the first 60, um, because like you said, it's not happening overnight, and there is no within 4 weeks you're going to notice this, or
Right.
within the first 6 weeks, so really looking at that and building framework, just like what we've built with the framework of the channel and the community and everything else. We really need to end up and build and refine that framework of our journey.
Yeah. Well, healing is about giving yourself permission to rest, to feel, and to not have it all figured out. Um, I it's about honoring it, even when it's messy, even when you quote unquote slip up. It's about finding the beautiful in the moment. Um, and I'll throw myself right under the bus, and Becky will agree. So we have trail cameras set up on our property, and I know, yeah, I know, and and I
I
was
know where you're going
mowing.
now.
I know I was mowing, and the trail camera picked a side view up of me on the mower. Now I'm wearing a tank top, shorts, like I'm hideous looking as all get out. But it caught a side view of me, and I seen it on the trail camera, and I was stunned, right? I was like, ugh, because you never want you never want to see yourself in that light. And what did I do? I screenshot it. I sent it. I texted it to
Yeah.
you. What I say?
I don't remember, but I did end up throwing it back at you.
She did. She did. And you know what she threw back at me? She threw back at me my 300-pound self picture from a number of years ago and said, "But you don't look like her."
No.
And it was like, oh my goodness, because when I did look like her, all I wanted was to look like what I look like now. And
So
I lost sight of it.
you said how flattering, and you sent me two screenshots, or it
Ugh.
was the screenshot, and I
Yeah.
said, change the mindset. Would you rather see that amazing person able to fit on that tractor all day or this person? And I fired those two pictures at you. I said,
She did.
anyone with children listening, cover their ears. I said, I mean, for damn sake, the seatbelt even fits you.
And here's what, when I read that, I went, oh my gosh, because I've been on airplanes since I have reduced my size, right? And been healing. I was the person that got on the airplanes and had to always ask for a seatbelt extension because I never fit. And now, not only do I fit, I don't need to request a seatbelt extension, but like I've got like, this much where I can pull the and I have extra room on my seatbelt. And when she said that, it clicked on me, and it was like, oh my goodness, like yeah, like that the seatbelt on the tractor is not pulled tight by any means. And I lost sight of all of that progress and that joy and that reclaiming all this hard work that I've done and thinking that that wasn't good enough
Mhm.
and leave it to my best
Well,
friend to tell me otherwise.
well, and that's when I said that, and you're like, point taken. I'm like, are you sure?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I can keep going if we haven't fixed that mindset, right? And I know that it's tough. And had it been, a client or anyone else, I wouldn't have been that blunt necessarily. Although anyone that's been a client knows that I can end up and be pretty harsh and straightforward. But sometimes that's what we also need in the journey, because we get so focused and wrapped up in our head
yes,
that it's hard for us to get, to that other. And there's also, some conditions that prevent us mentally from seeing that.
right.
And you obviously knew, the place that I was coming from.
Oh, yeah,
And that, yeah, there is a heart to it. It wasn't just words being thrown out there, but it was a case of, I knew where your mindset was, and I knew that I needed to end up and be harsh. And that's,
yeah, yeah,
we need that in our journey too. So
yeah,
um that's also where the community is, right? Yeah, people are able to check in, people are able to, get that feedback, right? Instead of just creating the monkey mind in themselves where they sit and they spiral. And because if you wouldn't have sent that to me, how
hmm
many, hours, days later would you still have been thinking of it?
oh yeah, yeah. And I moved on, right? It occurred to me to bring it up for the podcast.
Yeah.
But the fact is we're so focused on the number on the scale, or we're not looking at, for example, for me, like what was my A1C a year ago,
Hmm.
and what is it versus now? Well, that's healing. That's but we don't think of it that way. We um you know, they bring a tray of cookies in to work, and you may not even give it a second thought. And that's healing, right? Give yourself some credit and some grace. And just things like that but I'm learning to teach my clients as well as myself, as well as Becky, as well as because we're all in this healing journey. We're just at different stages. Is and I'm getting ready to embark on a called Journey Within. It's going to be a meditation, yoga, a journey of kind of finding yourself, um, self care, creativity, movement, what aligns with where you're at. See, I'm still taking things like that. I still
Mhm.
embark on that. What kind of experience, am I looking for in uh, this journey within? And I'm really looking forward to experiencing that. It's going to be 6 weeks, um one night a week, and then there's going to be journaling. In fact, I even bought a new journal to journal uh with it. And it's always nice to come back to basics, right? I know you go back to basics.
Mhm. Yeah, there's definitely been things that, I've tried along the way, and okay, it may work great, right? And I may pivot, evolve, transition, whatever you want to end up and call it. But then there's also times where the base, right, doesn't change, right? I just end up and I build upon it. So, for instance, my sleep, right? That's always going to end up and be the same. Circadian's going to end up and be the same. So I build that solid foundation, but then there's other areas that do need to change. One, as we get older or as we end up and, change seasons or whatever the case may be. But it's really looking, and I can guarantee I was different, when I weighed more, right? I was different when, you know, several different areas. But there's things that have to change. There's things that have to tighten up. There's other things that, you know, maybe just setting those intentions and setting
Mm.
it as a focus. And that's one of the things, even with like working out, that we've talked about in the community in our meeting sessions, is setting that routine, right? If I had to, set an alarm and say I was going to end up and work out at 6 o'clock in the morning, it probably wouldn't end up and happen, right? I would not be able to
Right.
be consistent with it. Where if I set it into my schedule of a time that works, whether that be, 6 o'clock at night or whenever the time is, I have it set and I have it scheduled because I am just as important to show up for myself
Yeah.
in that, exercise routine or in whatever area that I am working on, right? Just as much as I am for a client. And would I end up and cancel a client session if it was scheduled? No. So why am I canceling on myself? Right? If I want to end up and feel mentally stronger, if I want to end up and, tighten some of these non-negotiables, I have to end up and make that promise to myself. And so yeah, that's where it really comes with strengthening the mindset as well as strengthening the body, right?
Okay.
If you want to end up and level up, you've got to be honest with yourself,
Mhm.
because I can guarantee there's areas where you're either not honest with yourself and you're not doing it as much as what a person could, right? Or you've let it get into that gray area where you still think you are, but something like the journaling, when you have to take that honest look and go back, to tracking, doesn't mean you have to track forever. But
Right.
if you want to improve, right, you have to know, what are you improving?
Yep. Yep. Well, and it's
So,
it's taking that next step in your healing journey, right?
mhm.
Embracing your unique wellness journey, with setting intentions and, and compassion. I mean, that's a huge one because we are so hard on ourselves. Like, I've got some pictures of me that I took in the mirror. I haven't even sent them to Becky yet, but the clothes are too big on me. I purposely wear too big of clothes because I have body dysmorphia. Um and then I'll pull the clothes tight, like, so where they fit, and then I look at the differences in the picture and it's like, wow. Um but if anything, what we're saying resonates with you, just know that we took all of these things, we applied it to our rebirth and rebranding. Um, we were canceled, but we weren't quiet. We were working on things behind the scenes. Like Becky said, we have a challenge going on in the BNC community. And uh, we would love for you to come on in to the community, join us. You can go to and you can see, for those of you that can see us, if for those of you that can't see us, if you go to www.bnccommunity.com, that's Beyond Nutrition Coaching Community.com. So bnccommunity.com. When you go in there, um, instead of paying, we want you to put in the code FREE, FREE. Yes, we are inviting you to join us for free. We have over 10 meetings I think more than that,
Mhm.
in a week. We have a lot. We have
Mhm.
daily socials that happen at noon Central Time. Sometimes they'll go on for hours, right? Other times they don't. I host a meeting on Fridays um, at 11:30 Central called Supercharge Your Mindset. In a little bit, Becky, we are going to join your meeting, which is the nutrition meeting.
Correct. And it's not a dogmatic, it's labeled nutrition for a reason. It's if people have questions about what they're consuming, maybe, their macros, or maybe they're transitioning and doing seasonal eating, or maybe they've come from a keto carnivore low carb and they just don't know how to add things in. That is the meeting where we talk about all of those type of things. So it's not strictly a carnivore meeting or strictly a keto meeting, right? It's all of the above. Anything to do with nutrition. Some people will even talk about um they're fasting. Maybe they over fasted and they're looking at how do I safely start eating more like circadian friendly. So that's all in there.
Absolutely. Coach Sly does a mental health meeting on Wednesday night. Has Coach James started his?
Not yet.
Okay.
But the meeting is there, the space is there. We end up and have several community members that are stepping up and are also supporting. They're, super active in the gym. They lift heavy. They've, been in that realm. So it is right now our community resident trainers that are jumping into that meeting, discussing routines. It's also a place where when I first started setting up kind of my routine, we discussed different techniques to use to target certain muscle groups. And I kind of, also got feedback, right? I was recording my videos and we were discussing in those meetings to change, right? Change the hand grip or change, how I was standing even. Um, so all of that happens in that meeting and those are on Wednesday as well. But almost 7 days a week, there's a meeting. Um, Even if just on the weekend it is a community social, there's typically at least one meeting a day.
A day. Yep, definitely. Well, we are so glad that you found us and we're back. And so please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. We do read them. We do appreciate. Of course, if you subscribe, then you know when we do go live, and you'll kind of go, "Oh, they're back. we can
Yep.
we can launch them again." So we do. For those of you that have not stopped following us, we want to thank you very much. We do appreciate that. Um, we're hoping that um, you feel like you are a part of our table to sit down and learn from us, ask us questions. We learn from you. If there's someone you would like us to maybe talk to, interview, let us know. Put it in the comments. Um, Anything else, Becky, that you would like to add?
Nope, just know that we are here. We are going to continue, right? We're not going anywhere. We appreciate and value each of you as this channel, more so speaking to you over here on YouTube, as this channel come back. I wanted to come back to you, not necessarily regrow. So that's why we rebirthed this channel. But if you are on one of the other platforms, make sure that you are following us there as well. I know we have several that are watching over on Rumble and Twitter. So if you're on those platforms, make sure you're following, make sure you're liking the content. But yeah, I read the comments. So we definitely interact with you and we see that feedback.
Absolutely. Well, so you know where to find us now. We'll be back going live every Monday evening at 7 p.m. Central. We do stream to several platforms at the same time. And yes, we are now on X. We are streaming to Rundle. Where'd that come from? Of course, Facebook and Instagram, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon
Mm-hmm.
Music. Okay, I'm getting them down again because we've added more from when I used to rattle it off all the time.
Yeah, I think all in all, we have 14
Mhm.
different platforms that we are broadcasting out to. Um, so no matter what form of social media you are on, oh, we are also putting, if you are on Pinterest, we are putting posts over on Pinterest. So any of the following, make sure if you like our content, I will run through the list. So it is Twitch, Pinterest, Lemon8, Blue Sky, Rumble, Spotify, uh, Apple Podcasts, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, LinkedIn, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Amazon Music, Google, Snapchat, X, and Facebooks. So make sure any of those that you are on, you like, you comment on our content, share it, save it, anything of the above. We appreciate you and have a wonderful evening.
Absolutely. We'll see you next week, everyone. Thanks.